For more on the situation in Iraq, we're joined by Michael Wahid Hanna, a fellow with the Century Foundation, a public policy institute based here in New York. Mr. Hanna specializes in Middle Eastern affairs. Welcome to the program. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
So in recent months, the bombings in Iraq have become less frequent but seemingly more sophisticated. What does this tell us about who might be behind the attacks?
Well, obviously the insurgency has changed dramatically in recent years, and the tempo of attacks has decreased, and we've seen this move towards spectacular attacks aimed at government targets and sites, with a clear intent, I believe, to try to undermine the legitimacy of the government and perhaps even to undermine the credibility of the political process. And this, I think, is also a reflection of the changing nature of the components of what is left of the insurgency. And so there's been a broad move away from insurgency by many members of what was the nationalist insurgency, or more localized actors. And what we're left with is a smaller cadre of insurgents, but perhaps with greater ability to coordinate attacks. And this is, I think, the main reason why we've seen a slowdown in the tempo and their ability to carry off these attacks, but perhaps an increase in the spectacular nature of the attacks.
So these spectacular attacks, these high-profile attacks like the one that we saw today, does this present an accurate picture of the security situation in Iraq? Give us some insight into what the trend lines are.
Well, the trend lines are interesting. I mean, November was the lowest civilian death toll since the start of the war in 2003. So obviously there is a much greater degree of broad-based stability. But again, we have seen these high-profile attacks, and they are with an intent. But the overall trend is toward a much greater degree of stability and security in the country.
Today, the Iraqi government set a date of March the 6th for nationwide elections. How important a step forward do you think this will be in terms of putting Iraq on the path towards normalcy, if we can even use that term?
Well, I mean, I would start off with the proposition that elections are often very destabilizing events. We often look toward them as important benchmarks, but in fact, they have the ability at times to really heighten tensions, to heighten divisions. And so this electoral compromise was crucially important because it took the country back from the brink. We were reaching a point where this political crisis had the potential to morph into a constitutional crisis, and really reverting the country back to many of the old ethno-sectarian tensions that we'd seen in previous years.
Okay, Michael Wahid Hanna, thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks again.